Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The hour of 7 o'clock is upon us. I would like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would all please rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. We have one on the wall here and one up front, so you can go whichever way you want. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, while people are still coming in and getting their ballots, I'm going to take care of a few things. First of all, I'd like to welcome you all to the 260th annual Plymouth Town Meeting. I think I've been here for half of them, I don't know. And when I was looking at the Warren article tonight and reading it over and over again, I almost came in my jammy slippers and bathrobe, but my wife wouldn't let me, so here I am. I'd like to start by introducing our town manager. He would like to, can you turn my mic up? No, it's not usually a problem for me. You have no control over it? That better? Okay. I've never been accused of being quiet. So I'd like to introduce our town manager, Scott Whedon. He would like to talk a little bit about the process and the budgeting. And so, Scott?
Good evening and welcome. As Bob said, my name is...
Talk like it's an ice cream cone. Right at it. Just like it's an
Is
ice
that
cream cone.
better? Better? Can you hear me better now? Dan, can you hear me now? Good evening. Okay, good. Good evening and welcome. My name is Scott Whedon, as Bob announced. I was appointed as town manager on November 1st, 2022. The development of the town's recommended budget is one of the most important, challenging, and exciting responsibilities of the town manager. The annual budget is our largest and most significant policy document. The proposed budget is our plan in dollars and demonstrates our organization's commitment to top community priorities, our organization's commitment to top community priorities and shared values. The process leading up to its creation invites honest conversations about the critical functions we perform, areas of desired improvement or expansion, opportunities to achieve equity in the role of local government. I cannot be more honored than to present you with the 2023-2024 recommended budget. This spending plan reflects strong collaboration, thoughtful consideration, and some tough choices, with a goal of best supporting our community in the year ahead. The department heads, the budget committee, finance director, and the select board put many hours into the development of the budget. Most of all, it centers around the needs of the many types of people that make Plymouth so special. Summary of the numbers at a glance. All mentions of impact of the tax rate are estimated on the current evaluation and do not reflect any changes to revenue. The overall budget, subject to review and approval tonight, is $12,543,997 across all funds. That's a 10.8% increase over the 2022-2023 approved budget. The estimated impact on the tax rate is an increase of $2.47 per thousand. without any changes to revenue. But when this budget was submitted back in July by the department heads and all of those across, the request came in at $14,413,941. Through this entire process, the department heads, the budget committee, the select board, and myself reduced that budget by $1,800,066 across the board. As a summary to the increases, general increases include a 1.5% wage increase for firefighters based on their union contract, a 2.5% wage increase for all other town employees, inflation impacting heating, fuel, electricity, and then the final payment, alignment payment for the wage and salary study that was conducted. 3 new proposed positions to include a firefighter, a police officer, and a police dispatcher. We have provided worksheets that were located online, in the lobby of the Select Board's office, and in the back of the room tonight for review and justification in advance of town meeting. Capital projects include capital improvement program, which the town has been without for so long, proposed solar array, and a bond for the South Main Street drainage project. Again, we do have worksheets that provide an overview and justification of the projects. Key priorities. The budget supports the many core services our community relies upon, such as public safety, planning, development, town elections, public works, recycling, parks, and other outdoor spaces we enjoy, recreation programs, library, and more, while recognizing that challenges remain to maintain service levels and meeting our community's high expectations. At the same time, Plymouth, like many communities across the country, face complex challenges that require bold and innovative solutions. The 2023-24 recommended budget prioritizes the town's limited resources with the following goals in mind. Key infrastructure investments. This budget addresses infrastructure needs, including road construction on New Hebron Road and Russell Street, the South Main Street drainage project, and the proposed solar array. We will continue to analyze our road surface management study for the future and street improvements. Investing in town staff. There is nothing more fundamental to the ability of a municipal organization to provide basic service than the town employees doing their work. It is imperative that we continue to invest in the town's most important asset, the public servants who work day in and day out to ensure the delivery of community services. The recommended 23-24 budget meets this commitment through continued investment in competitive pay, full restoration of staff, especially in the areas of high community demand, town-wide activities to promote staff retention and competitive recruitment, and annual investment in employee professional development. In today's labor market, recruitment is not the answer to retention. Retention is the solution for recruitment. Changes in design and process. In previous years, the town has produced a lengthy budget document created through a manual and time-intensive process. Frankly, the finished project was not generally accessible or interesting to the public. To address this challenge, and as a first step to increase transparency and community participation, the Select Board provided a detailed summary at the budget hearings. Another financial management improvement is the town now has a comprehensive procurement policy that includes purchasing, insurance, and contracts. Both the 2023-24 recommended budget and the 23 through 29 capital improvement program were developed with input from department heads, select board, planning board, and administration. While significant steps were taken this year to improve the process to accurately measure our intended outcomes and understand the true community impact of all of our investments over the next 2 to 3 budget cycles. The other area of improvement involves how we made decisions. This year's recommended budget is one that reflects our commitment to continuous improvement. We worked intentionally across departments, often bringing department heads to the table to discuss ways to collaborate and achieve complex, multi-departmental goals. This helped us become more aligned with the town-wide objectives and priorities. We also asked departments to describe their desired strategic goals and outcomes and to continue establishing meaningful measurements that will help us determine whether projects and programs are achieving the desired results. In conclusion, recommendations about how to allocate funding must always demonstrate physical stewardship. But the best recommendations also reflect shared values, advance community priorities, address critical and emerging needs, build resilience, and improve the quality of life for all. I am confident that the 23-24 recommended budget achieves each of these goals. I look forward to thoughtful consideration tonight. We continue to work with Plymouth State University in strengthening our partnership in renegotiating our life safety services agreement. We continue to work with Plymouth Schools, SAU 48, and the building leaders of Plymouth Elementary School and Plymouth Regional High School. We continue to work with nonprofit organizations to actively seek pilot agreements, payment in lieu of taxes. And with regards to that, that was kind of the closing sentiment last year at town meeting, is we really want you to look at the nonprofit organizations. We want you to seek actively pilot agreements with those organizations. I can say I have done that since taking over in November, and we have negotiated pilot agreements. And I have a meeting tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock with another nonprofit organization in which we hopefully will negotiate another pilot agreement. With regards to that, you said, go to Concord, help us fight the battle down there. So that's been done. Senate Bill 84, which was introduced this year, was a bill that asked the Senate to establish a commission to study nonprofit organizations and tax-exempt organizations in lieu of property taxes. And that was done. Bill Bolton, now in the legislature, testified on that bill. I also testified on that bill. And hopefully we'll see some advancement with that. So I welcome you again. I hope to have some thoughtful consideration tonight and obviously open and honest conversation to create transparency in the community. Thank you.
At the polls yesterday, we had the first ever I Voted sticker contest. And there were 20-some students from the 4th grade elementary here at Plymouth Elementary School who submitted their desire, what they thought our I Voted stickers should be. We had 3 finalists that people voted on. Third place was the Old Man of the Mountain, created by a 4th grader at our school on a computer. Second place and the winner is this was designed and created by Sylvia McKinney, and she received 158 votes, and this is what the I Voted sticker will be next year when you come and vote at our polls. So a couple bookkeeping things before we get going. I want to share the results of your elections yesterday for, because town is on the top, for Select Board. Philip Malachi Hammond had 142 votes, Zachary Terrell 273, and Marianne Barnsley 290, and I declare Marianne Barnsley and Zachary Terrell duly elected. For moderator, 377 votes. That would be me. Carol Garrity for treasurer was 366 votes. For cemetery trustee, Mark Halloran, 366. And Nick Mason had 3. And that was enough, so he gets a position. Trustee of trust funds, Michael Currier had 22 and Sarah Terrell had 4, enough for positions. And for library trustee, Joyce Weston had 38, Doug Grant had 281, and then the third person was James Coran with 47. They are duly elected, and there were some other write-in ballots. For the zoning articles, Article 2 was 285 yes, 102 no. I declare Article 2 passes. Article 3 was 303 yes, 86 no. I declare Article 3 passes. Article 4, 314 yes, 86 no. I declare Article 4 passes. Article 5, 346 yes, 48 no. I declare Article 5 passes. Article 6, 328 yes, 58 no. I declare Article 6 passes. And Article 7, 312 yes, 65 no. I declare Article 7 passes. For the Plymouth School District, there were, for Francis Gonsalves, 268. For Samuel Ghost, 287, and Jason Needon had 122, and there was a couple of other write-ins. I declare Francis Gonsalves and Samuel Gooch are elected. For the Plymouth results of the Pemmy Baker, votes cast for school board member from Campton, there were 272 votes for that person. They were all running unopposed. In Campton, Peter Pettingill, 291. Bonnie Acton for 278 for Holderness. In Plymouth, there were Lisa Ash, 348, and Jason Needon had 25. And in Rumney, 270. Article 1 was 349 yes, 28 no. Article 2 was 343 yes, 36 no, and Article 3 was 284 yes, 91 no. The results of that will come after all the towns have reported into this SAU office. I don't have that information. And the last but not least, water and sewer, Thomas McLaughlin, 243, and I declare him the winner. All right, so a couple things I'd like to draw your attention to. On pages 122 through 124 in your town report, it tells about what the moderator does and the powers. I will very simply say my job is that of a facilitator. That's it. Anything that I decide that you want to challenge, you have a right to challenge, I'll put it to a vote of the people. My job is only to facilitate and help things move along. So are we ready to move along? Okay, to the inhabitants of the town of Plymouth, County of Grafton, State of New Hampshire, qualified to vote in town affairs, you're hereby notified to meet for the annual town meeting to be held at Plymouth Elementary School on Wednesday, March 15th at 7 p.m. at Plymouth Elementary. And so I will start with article, now I got to get the one in size 16 font. That's all right, some of you laugh, you'll be old someday. I hope. All right, so we're going to start with Article 8. And Article 8 says, shall the town vote to approve the readoption of the optional Veterans Tax Credit, RSA 72:28, comma 2, to allow for the expansion of the eligibility criteria needed to qualify for the optional Veterans Tax Credit effective April 1st, 2023. The readoption of the optional Veterans Tax Credit, if approved, would continue to offer a $500 annual tax credit on residence property to all honorably discharged veterans that qualify under the current requirements, but as of April 1st, 2023, it would be expand the eligibility requirements to include those individuals that have not yet been discharged from the armed services. The Select Board recommends this warrant article. Can I have a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Are you ready for the question? Yes. Patrice.
Good evening, Patrice Scott. I am just curious where this came from. Are we simply, did our attorney advise us to put this on because we have the tax credit available since whatever date they gave in the statute? I've read the statutes, and I'd also just like, do we have any idea of how much this will cost the town?
So with regards to this, if the town decided not to vote this through.
Can you either hold it closer to your mouth?
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay, sorry. If the town decided not to vote this through, what this would do is to take the tax credit for $500 back down to $50 for the veterans. And as Bob said, it expands it to those that are currently serving in the armed forces. In 2022, there were 114 veteran credits issued by the town.
Thank you. Mr. Moderator, could I just follow up? Scott, if you would just explain the difference. Are these technical, legal warrants that we have to approve to continue to be able to afford our veterans the credit, but also that this, I want to make sure people understand this is expanding the credit, not only to veterans, but to active duty service members?
You are correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So I just want people to understand that, and as, you know, someone whose husband served for 30 years and I have kids on active duty, I'm just concerned about the cost, and if it wouldn't be prohibitive in our small town. I really appreciate the generosity of people, but I wanted to draw attention to the fact that we're expanding the credit.
It is, and that's based on state RSA with regards to 72, semicolon 28.
Right. Okay, so
Yes.
you're advising that we pass both in order to keep and expand.
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, nay. It's a vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. Article 9 is to see if the town shall approve the readoption of the All Veterans Tax Credit, RSA 72:28 TAC B, to allow for the expansion of the eligibility criteria needed to qualify for all veterans tax credit effective April 1st, 2023. The readoption of the All Veterans Tax Credit, if approved, would continue to offer $500 annual tax credit on residential property and to all honorably discharged veterans that qualify under the current requirements of RSA 72:28 TAC B, and it would expand the eligibility requirements to now include those individuals that have not yet been discharged from the armed services. And the Select Board recommends this warrant article. May I have moved? Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary minded, nay. Let's vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. Which brings us to Article 10. Article 10, solar array. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $686,000 for the building of a solar array, and to authorize the selectmen to issue not more than $686,000 of bonds or notes in accordance with the provisions of the Municipal Finance Act, RSA 33, and to authorize the selectmen to issue and negotiate such bonds or notes and to determine the rate of interest thereon, and additionally, the maturity and other terms thereof, and to raise and appropriate the bond's first-year payment of interest and principal in the amount of $100,000. Further, to allow the Select Board to accept any federal and state grants or other incentives that are available towards this project, such as a 30% direct payment in lieu of tax credits from the Inflation Reduction Act and a 10% bonus for being a low-moderate income community from the same, and rebates from the Public Utility Commission. The Select Board recommends this warrant article. May I have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
This is a ballot vote. It is a 3/5 requirement. So we will be voting with, what flavor? This is vanilla. The first one's vanilla. So we'll be using the vanilla tickets when we do vote and come to it. And the process that we use is you rip it in half and you put in the ballot box the vote that you wish to place, either yes or no, and because it's vanilla flavored, you get to eat the other half. So, Chair recognizes, yes. There is. Oh, my goodness. If passed, this will allow, see, it's on 2 different pages on my sheet, that's why. If passed, this will allow the Select Board to enter into contract with Barrington Power, I remembered that part, to build a solar array for the town, on town property to offset approximately 70% of the town's current municipal energy needs. The town will receive revenue from the array by selling annual renewal energy credits and annual payments from the New Hampshire Electric Cooperative for the energy generated by the array. After the loan and maintenance costs, the expected revenue of the town for the solar array is anticipated to be $22,263 per year, which equates to $1,239,548 over the 30-year life of the project. And again, the estimated net tax impact of this warrant article is 20 cents per 100,000 in property valuation. Now may I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, now you're up.
Grace Garvey from the Plymouth Energy Commission. I'll try and be brief. Back in '22, the town passed a warrant for us to research in collaboration with the select board and come up with a proposal for a solar array that would offset the municipal power needs. And by that I mean for the buildings and the street lights, things like that. So we ended up in our request for a qualification process. We interviewed some solar contractors and selected, or actually recommended to the select board that they engage in a memorandum of understanding with Barrington Power. The Plymouth Energy Commission has been kind of in the trenches with Barrington Power over the last however many months that's been, since August when we signed a memorandum, to choose an optimum location, best sizing for an array to meet the municipal energy demands, the electrical demands specifically, and then to research grants and rebates and appropriate funding. As the warrant pointed out, the array that we came up with will offset about 70% of the municipal electricity demand. The proposed site at this point is across from the airport. It's a cleared field already. It needs very little site work in order to install the array, which would take up about 3/4 of an acre. The idea would to feed it onto the grid there and also maybe tie in with the building at the airport where they could benefit from the solar generated right there, from the energy generated right there. The modeling that is in, the modeling that's at the front table, and I hope everybody was able to pick one of these up, and that is mentioned in the warrant, was developed by Barrington Power using, data that is acquired from the site and also data that's available for New England regarding solar generation. And it shows that over $22,000 would be generated for revenue, and that's above and beyond operation, maintenance, and loan costs for the first year, and actually more in the second year and so on, up to $1 million over the 35-year life of the array. The warrant is written for the full amount of the array, which is estimated at this point to be $686,000. But the town is eligible for 40% direct pay back from the Inflation Reduction Act and a $10,000 rebate from the Public Utilities Commission to offset the cost once the array is up and running and once it is commissioned. The warrant also outlines that there would be $100,000 in first year principal and interest. But we're here to give you some good news tonight that we had a quote in writing from the Community Development Finance Authority on Friday for a 3% loan. The warrant took into consideration a 7%, which is prime right now, so we would be saving 4% on a loan, and we're recommending that to the select board. Let's see, what else can I tell you about? We actually crunched some numbers today, and the revenue is even better with that 3% loan, so we're here to tell you that it's even better. It's very exciting. There's a little bit of a lag time, and that's why it appears that there is in the first year's budget an increase in the property tax, because we won't get any kind of incentives or grants or rebates until, as I mentioned, the array is up and running. In addition, the co-op once a year is going to cut us a check for the energy that's generated, And that check wouldn't come until March of 2024, as we're being informed from Skip Johnstone, who's at the co-op. So there's a lag time before we actually start seeing some revenue. So based on the presumption that there'd be an increase the first budget year, there'd be a decrease in the Plymouth Energy Commission's perspective. So we think this is a great time to do this. We don't know if there's going to be another opportunity for this 40% return from the Inflation Reduction Act. It's a definite financial gain for the town. It's a renewable energy investment. It helps us reduce a carbon footprint, gives us some good, reliable local energy. And let's see, the bond hearing happened in January, and after that, the select board did recommend this warrant. So with that, I'd like to just open it up to any comments or questions.
I will. That's my job. Don't take my job. Are there any other comments? Please state your name when you address. I used to know everybody in here. I don't anymore. I'm sorry.
Jonathan Van Scooter. So I have a quick question, and I think you might have addressed some of it, but you had said that it's, at least the warrant article says it's $22,263 per year is the annual revenue. But if you multiply that by 30, that does not equal the 1.2 million. So is there a sheet that was not included for the warrant article that kind of explains that?
Yeah, please go ahead and answer.
Thanks for the question. Yeah, there's a sheet up there. Basically, the array generates different powers each year, and also the interest and principal payments will be different every year. So I can certainly hand you this to help answer that question. Those sheets are up here. I can get one myself too. Okay.
And I have a follow-up.
Yep.
So you also said there would be potentially a 40% reduction from the Inflation Reduction Act, which would be great. So if we got that plus the $10,000 grant that you had mentioned, that's $285,000. Would that just go right to the principal of the bond to pay that down to expedite that? How would the town recognize that savings?
Is that a question for her or a question for you, Scott? Go ahead.
I can say that we at the Plymouth Energy Commission have been in conversation with the town manager about setting up a dedicated fund into which those incentives will go to help pay down the loan. That's what we've talked about with the town manager at this point, who may give you some more information.
It would definitely go towards the payment of the bond.
Which would then expedite getting the bond off of our annual budget for each year beyond once it's paid off completely?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. I'm good. Hey. Gigi.
I'm Gisela Estes, and talking about all the financial issues that are together with the solar, I think our first concern should not be what it costs now and what we get back later, but our first concern should be that we have to do something for the environment. We have messed up, our generation and several generations before us. We owe it to our children, grandchildren, and the further generations that we do something to get the environment on a better track again and do better what has been messed up. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Yes.
Hey everyone, Katie Bush here, previous member of the Energy Commission, and I just wanted to share my support of this project as it's something we had thought about even 4 or 5 years ago. But it makes sense now. And just to highlight, the solar array is a great first step for the town to really diversify its energy portfolio. It's a great time for this project given the incentives and the direct paybacks. So it's really a low-cost, low-risk opportunity that makes sense now. And as the technology continues to improve over its lifespan, it will just make sense for us for the future. It's going to make us money. So just wanted to be brief and show the support and that we've thought about this for a number of years, and it really makes sense now given those incentives.
Yep.
Joyce Weston. I just want to give a little personal story. Right now, the New Hampshire utilities have gone up 77 to 100% each, and we all know that our electric bills have gone sky high. My wife Sally and I put in 27 solar panels in 2017, and we haven't regretted the investment one bit. In the summertime, we pay no electric at all, and sometimes even have a credit. So it's worth every penny. You have to make the investment in order to get the return. I fully support this. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Go ahead and come down so that you'll be ready by the time you get there. Go ahead, Dick, while she's getting here.
Dick Hage. There are four reasons I support this. And number one, increasingly prohibitive and unpredictable energy costs for families and for our whole community. Secondly, because of our dependence on increasingly unstable foreign fuel sources for our electricity. Third, given the clearly harmful impact to Mother Nature, which has been referred to already, of our growing use of fossil fuel pollutants. And fourth, to exercise our responsibility, and to me, this is the most important piece, to leave a livable, affordable, healthy, and sustainable environment for our children and for theirs. Those 4 points echo the comments I hear regularly, frequently on Main Street, and for those reasons I hope you will all support this warrant. If we vote yes, we will be a leader community joining a growing number of New Hampshire towns already with municipal solar arrays. You've heard the project costs, the financials, the current opportunity to take advantage of the significant grant provided through the Inflation Reduction Act and other incentives, and those may not exist forever. So now is the right time, and our yes vote is the right action. So thank you for any yes votes we can get. I might add quickly, as Sally already mentioned, Pat and I, my wife Pat and I, had a similar experience. We installed a solar array. It paid for itself in 7 years, and today, on an annual basis, we have 9, on average, 9 free months per year. So this is the kind of opportunity that we have as a community. Thank you.
Hello, Katie Badalak. I fully support the solar array. I have a question about the numbers. The first speaker mentioned 30% credits from the Inflation Reduction Act, or she mentioned 40. The warrant says 30. So
It's at 30 plus the 10%. There's two different things in the warrant. One is 30 and one was 10. The
okay,
total is
I thought
40.
she said 40 plus 10. No, 30 plus 10? Great, thank you.
Any further discussion? Are you ready for the question? Again, this is the vanilla ballot. This is a bond issue, which means the poll has to be open for an hour. So once I go over and show you the ballot box is empty and open the polls, we'll write down the time and we'll have the polls open for an hour. In the meantime, we'll go on to other articles and move forward. And so let me demonstrate. The box is going to be empty. Lad Rain, I appointed as my deputy moderator. He'll be attending the ballot box, and he will be opening the ballot box when I give him the nod in order to get the ballots counted. All right, we're going to move on to Article 11, South Main Street Infrastructure Project. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $1,800,000 for the purpose of infrastructure repairs to South Main Street, Warren Street, and Russell Street, and authorize the selectmen to issue of not more than $1,800,000 of bonds or notes in accordance with the provisions of Municipal Finance Act, RSA 33, and to authorize the selectmen to issue and negotiate such bonds or notes and to determine the rate of interest thereon. And additionally, the maturity and other terms thereof, and to raise and appropriate $250,000 for the bond's first year's payment. The Select Board recommends this article, and again, this is another bond article and requires a 3/5 majority. We will be using the, is it white or gray? I guess it's white. We'll be using the white ballot for this one. That's coconut flavored. This estimated tax impact of this article is 50 cents per thousand of property valuation. Do I have a motion? Is there a second? Is there discussion? Yes. I'll know your name by the end of the night, which is a good thing.
If I come up for every warrant article.
No,
Jonathan Van Scooter. Just a quick question, and I think I know the answer, but it is not clear, so I would like just a clear answer. In 2 years ago, when we had the $2.5 million bond, set aside $605,000 for the highway road construction, Main Street, Russell Street. Is that what is going to be used in addition to this 1.8 to get to the 2.6 million that is needed to bridge the gap for this project?
So with regards to the funding, that's a great question. Where's the money come from? So the 1.8 million is if the bond is approved. Where's the funding come from? $2.7 million federal awarded grant from the economic development. 900,000 funding available from a previous bond. So between those two, we bridge the gap with the 1.8 million for the 5.3 million of the total cost of the project.
So are you reallocating some of that previous bond? Because in the previous bond, it was only 600,000. You just said 900,000. So where's that 300,000 coming from?
Yes, that's correct. We on many of the items that we had, and actually you can go down through that list that's in there, you can see that many of the items we were able to get for less than what we'd expected and budgeted. So we've been able to sort of hold some of that money for this project as we were seeing its costs increase. So over the past 2 years, we've been slowly saying, okay, we saved here, tuck that away, we saved here, tuck that away, in hopes that we wouldn't get to this point where we had to ask for more money.
Okay. So for people wondering, that's on page 26 of your booklet. It's the 2.5 bond that's in there. So just to follow up, if we don't pass this, what is the detriment to those streets if this drainage project is not done?
So I'll tell you, the drainage in South Main Street is over 100 years old and has failed.
Okay.
And if we don't do this, we're going to continue with flooding issues and additional problems that provide runoff into apartments and businesses.
Perfect. Thank you.
go ahead, please. You say it, because then I don't have to.
Chris Woods, I am the chair of the Water and Sewer District Commission. I'd like to speak in favor of this project. We've already heard there's $2.7 million that we're getting as a grant for the town. There's also, additionally, we are partnering Water and Sewer District and the town, and we have we're able to share about $1 to $1.2 million of the cost. It's a win-win for both of us. It's a win for the town. The timing is good for this. I realize it's not as glamorous as a solar array digging up and replacing pipes, but we need to do it.
The other part of the issue is water and sewer is going to dig it up anyways, and you don't want to dig it up once and then have the town come back and dig it up again later. We could combine the two projects in order to get it all done at one time, because I don't think you would like it if Main Street was dug up twice. So,
Mr. Moderator?
Just say it. Yes.
One other note is the contractor that we have secured if this project goes through. We are optimistic They are hoping that this is a project that they can tear up and complete all in one building season this year. So it won't affect South Main Street over a 2-year period, which was the original project plan.
Yes.
Was for this to take 2 building seasons. So we're actually very excited about the contractor that is proposed here to work with. So hopefully save a lot of frustration on South Main Street.
Any other discussion? Please, just state your name when you get to the microphone, please.
My name is Will Bond. I had a question. I saw that the warrant covers an estimated tax impact of 50 cents per thousand, but it sounds like we actually have quite a complex financial structure here with previous grants. Do we have an idea of how much this is going to impact per thousand over the big picture and for how long? I mean, it says the rate, the term of which is yet to be determined, so I'm trying to get a sense of it. It sounds like the 50 cents is for 250,000 of this year, but what sort of impact are we looking at and for how long?
It's my understanding that the $250,000 is the bond payment every year, whether we go 10 years or 20 years. Based on the rates that we had today, it's probably beneficial for us to go out 20 years. And one reason for that is that it's not going to be something that we're going to replace probably in the next 100 years again. So we'll go out as far as we can on that. But with the numbers we had today from the financial institutions that responded back to us, the bond payment is $250,000, and where the actual additional cost of interest comes in is based on where we're able to secure over the next few weeks, with a range of anywhere from 4.95% to 5.24%, and we've gone out to 5 different financial organizations. But the tax impact this year is as stated in the warrant article, the 50 cents per thousand.
So I don't quite understand how, whether we paid it over 10 years or 20 years, it would have the same impact, because we'd be paying twice as much if we take 20 years at 250,000 a year, correct?
Actually, the interest rates are very interesting, and the interest fluctuates based on final payments as well.
Right, so if it was the same per year for a 10-year versus a 20-year note, wouldn't we rather do it in 10 years because we'd pay half as much? Or am I not?
We'll have to look at that when we get the final numbers in from the financial institutions where we can lock in.
Well, do you understand
I understand what you're saying, is that wouldn't it be better for us to pay it off earlier if the interest rate was lower and we were able to secure that bond and pay it off in 10 years versus 20 years, we wouldn't have the payment of the interest for those additional years.
I see, so you're targeting a fixed repayment amount per year, and you're going to get the shortest length possible is what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
That's why the article is written as it is, that they negotiate to do with, okay? Any other discussion? Yep.
So just to follow up on what you just said the interest rate fluctuated between 4% and 5% in that range, but it sounded like with the solar array, we could get a 3% bond interest rate. Why the difference if you're using the same RSA to get the financing?
We don't know what the final interest rate is going to be on the solar array. We have proposed interest rates from financial institutions as well as the Community Development Finance Authority, and we're waiting for the final number from them, which could be lower than what the financial institutions that we've looked at with regards to Woodsville Guarantee Savings Bank, Franklin Savings Bank, Meredith Village Savings Bank, Northway Bank, and Union Bank.
So was it misstated earlier that it was a 3% interest rate, because that was what was stated with the previous warrant article that we just voted on?
We don't have that locked in at this time.
But
From
was
a town
that a quote
perspective
that we
and from a-
received, 3%?
Excuse me?
Was that a quote that we received, 3%?
We have not received a 3% quote. The town has not received.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering how they can get 3% and we can't get 3% on this. No, I'm just trying to figure that out.
No, I understand what you're saying. But the town
Go
has
ahead,
not
let
received
Maggie answer.
a 3% interest rate.
Okay, so as I'm Maggie Mumford, also Plymouth Energy Commission, the CDFA has a limit to how much they will loan. We are under the limit in terms of offering that rate. We're under the limit, and this warrant article is over the limit. So even though we're not totally locked in, that rate of 3% has been discussed, and we're optimistic. So.
Okay.
So for clarification, it's just based on the loan value. Their loan is less, they can get a lower interest rate. Yours is 1.8, so that's why it's more. Okay.
Any further discussion? Go ahead.
Just a quick clarification. I have in writing that we will get the 3% from the Community Finance Development Authority. I have not passed that on to the town, and I apologize.
And that is a different entity completely than who the town has to deal with.
We have a verbal and a written agreement. We haven't applied, but they said it's good, 3%.
Okay. Any other discussion? Are you ready for the question? All right. So this again is the white ballot. All right, it looks like there's not a line any longer, so let's move on to Article 12. Article 12, General Government and Departmental Expenses. This is the long one, so hang tight as I go through this. To see if the town vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $18,383 for fiscal year 23-24 general government and departmental expenses as follows. Salaries, fees, and expenses, Selectman's Office, $462,784. Election, registration, vital statistics, Town Clerk's Office, $167,049. Financial administration, $386,687. Reappraisal of property, $70,000. Contract services, legal and other, $216,063. Planning and zoning, $216,779. Land use enforcement, $27,058. General government buildings, $78,500. Cemeteries, $73,311. Miscellaneous insurance, workers' compensation, liability, and unemployment, $219,467. Advertising and regional associations, $7,004. Police department, $1,790,268. Police dispatch, $567,612. Ambulance, $154,796. Fire department, $1,893,947. Emergency management, $7,138. Street lighting, $60,000. Airport, $8,112. Recycling department and solid waste, $582,608. Pemmy Baker solid district dues, $4,709. Health office, $10,000. New Hampshire Humane Society, $7,150. Welfare officer, $13,004. Welfare vendor payments, $70,000. Recreation programs, $441,918. Parks and grounds, $288,134. Library, $526,632. Patriotic purposes, $4,700. Other culture and recreation, $12,100. Conservation Commission, $7,000. Care of Trees, $7,000. Infrastructure bond payment number 8, approved in the 2016 of $214,882. Infrastructure bond payment number 3, approved in 2020, $285,000. Library expansion project bond payment number 13, $136,971. The Select Board recommends this warrant article. This is just a plain majority vote. The estimated net tax impact for this warrant article is $10.11 per thousand in property valuation. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Halloran.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good evening. Obviously, this is the bulk of the town budget, and I'm Mark Halloran, a member of the Budget Committee, and I just want to talk to you about the process we went through to get to this number. As Scott Whedon, our new town manager, said, this number reflects previous cutting of $1.8 million from requests. So what we did, the process began in late August, where we started to meet with the department heads. We did site visits. We looked at equipment and spent plenty of time reviewing where each department was. Concurrently with that, over the summer, the planning board had put together the capital improvements program with representatives from the town and the public. So we had that document also with us. So that we could sort of time some of these expenses and get the community back in infrastructure-wise some pretty good shape. We then met with each department head, and we went line item by line item, and that's where those cuts came from. We then met with the town manager, finance director, and again we reviewed all the documents that we had, the bond payments. A lot of the bonds had been renegotiated prior to that, so you can see some of those bonds were originally 3-4%. They're now down in the 1.7, 1.8%, while we got it while the rates were still down. So those interest payments are down significantly. When we finished with the town manager, we presented a budget to the selectmen. The selectmen went through it. We had 2 public hearings. They went through it with the budget with all the department heads again. And so tonight, for your discussion, we offer this budget, and I'm sure that all the department heads are ready to answer any of your questions. But it was important for us, for all of you, to understand that there is a real process. We all get the tax bills, and we poured through it line item by line item with a sense of the impact it has on all of our lives, and at the same time, getting us ready for the future. So thank you, and thank you, Mr. Moderator, for the time.
And the Budget Committee also does recommend this article. Discussion. Are you ready for the question? Yeah?
Will Bond, again. First, I wanted to say I appreciate the methodical approach that went into this all, and I appreciate all the time that goes into it. I had a question about one of the items in regards to another article. I saw that we have set aside $70,000 for reappraisal of property, but also we have Article 17 where we're asking for $58,000 for a townwide reevaluation. So I was wondering if you could just explain to me, are those distinct? They sound like they're both related to appraisals.
So the reevaluation, we're going into our 5th year of the current valuation that we have. So how that works is that the first 4 years, each year they do a quarter of the property, and then the 5th year they do the full reevaluation of the town. And what happens is that the $70,000 is for future reevaluation program for the next time. The $15,000 will be appropriated for this year because there is money in capital reserve right now to fund that piece of it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm Ann Abear, I'm your finance director. So the $70,000 this year will pay for the entire reval. They're actually out there working, they'll do a quarter of the town again. And then you've got a $15,000 warrant article besides that. That's going to save for future revals. And then you have another warrant article that's on here that's talking about a reval that's coming up in the coming year. So you've got a lot going on in your assessing process.
Just quickly to add to that, on page 24, you can see the balance of the current town reval capital reserve fund.
Jonathan Van Scooter. I hope I don't do this for every warrant article, I'm sorry. But a quick question. So it looks like we're doing a 10% increase if you count in the police from last year, which one of the frustrating things is me as a resident is it seems like warrant articles never carry over, especially the budget. There's things that break out each year. So if in the future we can try to make them mirror each other so we can look back in history to be able to see, but I had to add the police in from last year. It's about a 10% increase, which is life right now. We all know everything's going up by 10%. But then if we're adding all the other additional positions and additional things that we want to do, that's adding more than that 10%. And part of my concern is if we keep adding and adding and adding, and we're adding bonds and adding all this, is it going to become too big of a burden for us as residents to afford this increase and the cost of living increases that we're seeing? So that's all I kind of want to say. I know there's a lot that goes into a $9 million budget, and I appreciate you guys painstakingly going through each line item and saying what is needed and what can we cut. I get it. I'm an accountant where I'm at, and that's what I have to do with our budget, being a nonprofit CFO. So I get it. But at the same time, seeing it go up every year, sometimes double digits, is hard to swallow as a resident. So I just wanted to voice that.
Can I address that real quick?
Yes.
One thing that I would encourage anyone who's very interested in some of that level of detail on the budget is the budget hearings that we have. This year we broke down each of the departments in a way that's much more readable than the way that the warrant kind of forces us to break things down. That if we're moving things from capital reserve funds, we have to put it in its own warrant article. You know, if we put things in a capital reserve fund, it has to be in its own warrant article. So there's all these limitations legislatively that we have to do in preparing that warrant that does add this very frustrating inconsistency. But we posted this on the website, and I would encourage you to check it out. We broke it down by all of the general government, police, fire and ambulance, all of the major departments that you think about, and listed the exact percentage increases for each. And just to confirm your point, if everything here is approved, we're talking about 10.8%. That's everything. If every single thing on the warrant is approved, 10.8% is the increase.
Jeremiah Lamson, and I just had a question. The explanation that was given on the revaluation didn't seem to make sense to me, because it sounded like you were saying that the $70,000 in the Article 12 was to cover the revaluation, and the $58,000 was to cover the revaluation.
I'm glad you said that, because I'm confused too. So thank you. I was going to say something.
So the $70,000 that's in the regular budget that you see in Article 12 is for the regular assessing for the coming year.
That's what I originally.
Yep. And then you'll see that there's another warrant article that we're going to talk about later on. That's going to be for the reval for the coming year.
That's what I originally thought, but then your explanation saying that they were the same thing.
And then there's another warrant article to start the capital reserve over again. So my apologies for confusing you, but that's what it.
That's what I originally thought, but then your explanation.
Okay. Is that as clear? Okay. Any other questions? Are you ready for the question? Okay. So, this is a simple majority. All those in favor of Article 12, I'm not going to read it again. Okay. All of those in favor of Article 12 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. It's a vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. Article 13. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $105,799 for the purpose of hiring one additional police officer. This amount includes pay and benefits. The Select Board recommends this article. This is a majority vote. It's 21 cents on the thousand, and the Budget Committee concurs with this article. May I have a motion? Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Are you ready for the question? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, I so declare it. Article 14. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $80,965 for the purpose of hiring one police dispatcher. This amount includes pay and benefits. The Select Board recommends this article, and the estimated impact is 16 cents per thousand, and the Budget Committee concurs with this article. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 14 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. It's a vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. How many articles have we done here? 1, 2, 3, 4. One more, and then we're going to ask to limit reconsideration.
I'd like to make a motion to restrict reconsideration on Articles 12 through 14.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? There's a motion to limit reconsideration on Articles 12 through 14. What that means is that it's called the Midnight Harry Bill. There was a Midnight Harry Spanos back in Newport many, many years ago. I'm old enough to remember this. This is funny. At a town meeting, at the very end of the meeting, with 15 people left, they reconsidered all the articles and shot everything down. This way, nothing can be reconsidered without coming back before another meeting. So, if you vote to limit reconsideration, it cannot be considered again tonight. It would have to come back for a special meeting. Does everybody understand? Okay? All those in favor of limiting reconsideration on Articles 12 through 14 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. All those in favor will signify by saying I declare. Ooh, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I declare that we have limited debate and consideration on those articles. How are we for time? No, we got a while. Article 15. To see if the town vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $89,250 for the purpose of funding one additional fire EMS employee. The cost of this includes pay benefits for one position. The Select Board recommends this. The Budget Committee concurs, and the estimated impact is 18 cents per thousand. Do I have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 15 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. You vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. Article 16, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $11,000 for the purpose of a new TriCaster. The broadcast video switch for the studio would propose moving to a TriCast mini model to allow for portability. The Select Board recommends this article. The Budget Committee concurs, and it would be 2 cents on your tax rate. Do I have a motion? Second. Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. Article 17, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $58,000 for a town-wide reevaluation of property and authorize the withdrawal of $49,000 from the revaluation property capital reserve fund created for that purpose. The balance of $9,000 is to come from general taxation. The Select Board recommends this article. The Budget Committee concurs, and it would be an estimate of 2 cents per thousand on your valuation. Do I have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $12,540 for the purpose of purchasing a cargo storage trailer and new voting booths. The Select Board recommends this article. The Budget Committee concurs, and it would be 3 cents on the tax rate. And Josie, you wanted to address this. Can I have a motion first? Second? Moved and seconded. Okay, now Josie.
I don't know if I need to anymore. There hasn't been any debate tonight. But I just quickly wanted to address that this is covering 2 items. The first you can see is the cargo storage trailer. I'll go over this briefly. If Rob wants to say anything, if I miss any information, he's welcome to. But essentially, right now for election equipment, we have our storage in multiple locations. That's not really an efficient process for us for setup and breakdown. Park and Rec has been wonderful. Every election, they come out and assist us in preparing elections, but also taking this equipment from Town Hall, used to be at the police department, highway department, and bringing it to the school. And also my deputy and I are also dealing with this. But anyways, what will be in the cargo trailer will be larger items like booths, screens, guardrails, things that will be centrally located here at the school, so we don't have to be, using so much work power, so much of our time bringing it from 2 or 3 locations. Secondly, we have voting booths. Those voting booths we have, you may have noticed we had fewer this time yesterday. Those types of booths actually are not made anymore. There are not many manufacturers for booths in the country. There's 2, and New Hampshire has some of the most strict voting booth laws in terms of privacy. So this article here, if passed, will go to purchasing new booths that are circular, and we'll have 4 different stations. As the law is right now, for every 100 voters, we should have a booth. In Plymouth, we have close to 4,500 voters currently, so for every 100, we should have about 50, 60 booths. But the law says that we can make up for that, the amount of booths, by using half of that with screens, which we have been doing all along. So ultimately, this is for the booths and the cargo trailer. If you have any questions, now's the time.
Really? You're going to question my article?
So I might come at the wrong voting time, but whenever I've come in to vote, I've never seen anybody in a booth. It's always at the screen. Do we have to have booths,
Yes.
or can we just use the screens?
I have the RSA for you right here. If you give me one moment. It's RSA 658:9. We do have to have voting booths. Now, the law says that we can make up 50% of those voting booths with screens, which are more affordable than the booths, of course, but we're very limited with what we can do, especially because we have strict privacy laws. So we have to have very particular curtains, for example. So ultimately, there's only 2 manufacturers, and we're going to be using Inclusion Solutions, who actually work with almost every town in the state of New Hampshire and within New England.
So we have to have at least 20 to 25, based on your numbers, of booths.
Yes.
So yesterday we technically violated that RSA.
Yes.
Because there were only 8 of them, I think, set up.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the booths we had are older. They're broken down ultimately. So we have a wonderful Park and Rec crew. Robert over here deserves a round of applause and his crew for all of their work. And Highway has also helped us in the past as well.
So they're past beyond MacGyvering, and we need new ones.
So let me interject, because I'm the one that has to deal with the state when they come in and they holler at me because I'm violating the law, because I don't have enough voting booths and I don't have enough voting spaces, and I get knocked down on it almost every time. This is so that we can come close to meeting the law. It's quite necessary.
Hello, I'm Tanya Orlando. I'm just curious where the trailer is going to be stored.
Not at your school.
That's Robert's question.
It's at Josie's house.
Where's Robert? Is Robert up here? We haven't figured that out yet. Oh, yeah, okay, we haven't figured that out quite yet. I believe, though, we're thinking near Park and Rec.
We will find a place for it, and Tanya, it will not be at your school, okay? Any other discussion? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 18 will signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, one more, and then we'll do another. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise an appropriate sum of $102,260 for the purpose of funding the fiscal year 2023-2024 police parking department, and to further authorize the withdrawal of $30,000 from the parking special revenue fund to offset this appropriation. The Select Board recommends, the Budget Committee concurs, and about 15 cents on your tax rate. Do I have a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Amy Lee, hello. Can you explain to me what this $102,000 entails for parking?
So it's the entire budget for parking, but it's offset by, what did Ann say?
Can you get closer to the microphone, please, Alex?
Apologize. So that $102,000 is for the budget for the parking, but it is offset by the revenues.
Okay.
So the revenues, Amy, with regards to that parking position in 7/1/22 year-to-date has been $75,000. With regards to the revenues that are brought in, roughly $54,414 anticipated will come in, $50,000 will go to as a fund at the end of the fiscal year, and the remainder goes back to the capital reserve capital general fund in order to offset taxation.
Okay. Any other discussion? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 19 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. I would entertain an article to limit reconsideration.
I'll make a motion to limit reconsideration for Articles 15 through 19, sorry.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Second. Moved and seconded to limit consideration on Articles 15 through 19. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. And Scott, I was asked to have you introduce the people at the front table, and we have not done that. If you would do that, please.
Sure, I'd be happy to and honored to. So to my far right, Robert Cormier. He's the superintendent and director of our Parks Department. Next to him is Chief Thomas Morrison, Fire Chief. Next to Tom is Jim Kahn. He's our recycling manager. Next to Jim is Lisa, and Lisa is our recreation director. Lisa Ash. Alex Hutchins, our police chief, sits next to Lisa. Next to Alex is Diane Lynch, our library director, who unfortunately will be leaving us in May. So we are in search of a new library director. And we thank Diane for her years and her dedication to the library of the town. Next to Diane is Becky White. She's the assistant librarian. Then we have Josie Ewing, the town clerk. Then we have Joe Fagnet, our highway superintendent. And we have Marianne Barnsley, the select board member who was reelected last night. Then we had Zach Terrell, the chairman of the Board of Selectmen. We have Bill Bolton, Board of Selectmen. We have Neil McIver, Board of Selectmen. And we have Ted Wazinski, Board of Selectmen. And out in the audience, we have Deputy Chief Kevin Pierce, and we have Deputy Chief Nate Buffington accompanying the chiefs here tonight. So my gratitude to all of them for putting up with me for the last 5 months and having me ask all sorts of questions and stop in their departments and speak with their personnel. But I will tell you, we have a wonderful group of individuals that are supporting the town and the community efforts with Plymouth, and I applaud them.
I would like to say one more set of kudos. There are 3 people sitting over there who do more work than many of you can possibly understand as your supervisors of the checklist. the work that they do, and it's Mary Halloran, Mary Nelson, and Jane Clay. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum. I just did that one. No, I didn't. Of $150,471 for the purpose of funding fiscal year 2023-24 police school resource officer. This appropriation is offset by $112,853 from the SAU 48 school system. Select Board recommends this article, and the Budget Committee concurs, and it's about 8 cents on your tax dollar per thousand. Is there a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? None showing. All those in favor of Article 20 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $40,000 for the purpose of purchasing portable radios for the fire department. The Select Board recommends this. The Budget Committee concurs, and it's about 8 cents on your tax rate per thousand. Moved, seconded. Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? We'll put Article 21. All those in favor of Article 21 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $50,000 for the purpose of purchasing a police cruiser. The Select Board recommends. The Budget Committee concurs, about 10 cents per thousand on your tax rate. Do I have a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Yep.
Hi, I'm Melissa Davis, and my question is, I live in the neighborhood, I live on Wentworth Street in the neighborhood where there's a lot of college housing, and it seems to me that it's difficult for the cruisers oftentimes to get through the crowds of students, and I'm wondering what I don't see in the neighborhood are officers on bikes, and if that is something that the department has considered, and if so, why it's not available.
Yes, thank you very much for the question. So back in the day, we used to use bikes, but what happens is the town's so big and we can only have a couple officers on it at a time, and what happens was that the officers would have to then take their bike and go get the cruiser and then go to the call on the other side of town. So it's very difficult to have that, but our officers do park their cars and they do foot patrols in the back streets.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jonathan Van Scooter. Just a quick question, why we have not been setting aside funds to replace vehicles coming up. I'm excited to see that we are starting a capital projects, kind of setting money aside, but why that hasn't happened. So that way, when we have to replace a vehicle, there is funds there that we can draw upon rather than just every time something comes up, we do have to purchase a vehicle.
Sure, absolutely. Just to let you know, just a past practice, we used to do 3 cars every 3 years, so $150,000. And that's a lot for 1 year, so we've changed it. So we're going to try to do 1 car every year, so you're only asking for 1 car instead of 3 cars in 1 year. And we have started a capital reserve, and that was, I believe, one of the items in the capital reserve to do.
So we should, in theory, be seeing next year another 50,000, and the year after that another 50,000, and it just become part of this cycle?
Go ahead.
So I'll draw your attention and everyone's attention to page 62 in your book. This year, and this is brand new for our town, or I guess newly resurrected, we have what's called a capital improvement program. And this isn't a budget, this is a plan, so we can vary from this, but in general, you can use this to get a good idea of what sort of capital items we're going to have in the warrant in the future. And in this, you can see, if you go all the way down to the police department, you can see this, $50,000 extending over many years as we're replacing and cycling those cruisers. And so by replacing 1 a year, we get to spread that impact out over many years. The reason that the Capital Improvement Committee decided, let's just pay for the cruiser each year as opposed to putting money away and then buying cruisers, is that, as many of you know, putting money in a savings account has very little interest return. But if we tax that money and spend it immediately, we don't take any penalty from holding that money for any period. So we've spread it out and we've tried to plan that capital to be consistent over a 6-year period.
So according to this plan, there's only 3 vehicles that you guys rotate through? There's no other vehicles that the police need to rotate through?
So we rotate our cars. So any new car, we put as the patrol officers, and then we bring those cars down to supervisors and so forth. And we try to keep our cars 8 to 9 years. So the car that would be going offline is a 2015 Ford Explorer, and it has about 120,000 Plymouth backstreet miles on it.
Awesome, thank you.
That's a lot of backstreet miles. Any other discussion? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 22 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. To vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $75,000 for the purpose of purchasing a command vehicle for the Plymouth Fire Department. The Select Board recommends this. The Budget Committee concurs, and it's about 15 cents on the tax rate. Do I have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Patrice.
Thanks, Mr. Moderator. I'm just wondering if it would be appropriate in the discussion of these fire department and police items, capital items, to ask our selectmen how, if we've received any contribution from the college under the Life Safety Service Agreement, if negotiations have been ongoing, or, are we better or are we worse? Thank you.
So last year, Patrice, in June, a Life Safety Services Agreement was negotiated with the university, and that was for a 1-year period. Actually, in April, starting next month, we will enter negotiation again with the university with regards to the Life Safety Services Agreement. We've asked all departments to provide substantial information with regards to the services that we provide to the university, as well as the infrastructure within the boundaries of Merrill Street to Highland Street to Emerson Street down to Main Street, because we also need to look at the roads, the sidewalks, the signage, and street signs with regards to that as well, because they do take an impact and have an impacted use by the university. So we will be entering into those negotiations starting in the month of April.
So I guess the question she's asking, did we get anything this year? What did we get this year? Is that what I heard too?
Yeah, so this year, the 1-year extension was no increase, but also no reduction, which was an accomplishment in those negotiations. So it's $450,000, 400 even, Ann, just confirming, 400,000 even, and they have consistently been paying that. It's the 4th. So we had a 3-year at that price, and then this was a 1-year extension. So for the past 4 years, it's been $400,000 a year from the university.
Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
I would just add that this is a planned replacement of a vehicle that's approaching 10 years old. And going forward, we have proposed that that be in the CIP.
Any other discussion? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 23 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. Article 24, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $1,311,272 for fiscal year 23-24 for the Highway Department, and to further to offset this appropriation by authorizing the withdrawal of $25,000 from the Municipal Transportation Improvement Capital Reserve Fund established for this purpose. The Select Board recommends this article. The Budget Committee concurs, and it's about $2.59 per thousand on your tax bill. Do I have a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Is there discussion? I'm counting the minutes. It's 2 minutes, then I can open that ballot box. Any discussion? Are you ready? Oh, yep.
I have a question.
Yep.
Can you please tell me what we're going to do with this $1 million that we're setting aside?
What is included in that?
Yeah, like what are we doing with the money?
So that's the entire highway budget. That funds 7 full-time employees, 2 part-time employees, one being the sidewalk plow operator and the other one an administrator. It also includes road maintenance, sidewalk maintenance, and the increases this year come from inflation with regards to the salt, calcium, sand, gravel. But it covers everything from the fuel, the heating, the electricity, maintenance on the highway garage that's located down on Green Street, as well as the insurances, health insurance, dental insurance, Property casualty, workers' comp insurance are all included within that budget.
Thank you. Is there any additional training for the sidewalk plow drivers?
So I will say in defense of our sidewalk plow operator is I think what people have to understand is we have 6 brand-new highway employees that came to us over the course of the last year. And that group has come together very well. And have we had mishaps throughout the early winter and late winter? We have. But finding people to come to work and show up knowing the overtime that they're going to have to encumber with the plowing, with the sanding, with the salting, and the sidewalk plow operator was brand new to operating a sidewalk plow and came to us, jumped right in the sidewalk plow, and has done the best that he can. I will say between Joe and Steve St. Pierre, our supervisor of operations, they have worked with each one of these individuals, and hopefully I will say that they have come together as a very strong group and should be applauded for the efforts. And I think if you'll notice over the last couple storms, you've seen that pavement bare, and you've seen the dirt road, the gravel roads well maintained and plowed as they should have been plowed. So we are working, we are coming together, but it is a brand new staff that Joe and Steve have put together over the last 3 or 4 months.
Jeremiah Lamson again. I'm assuming that the reason this is a separate warrant article and not included in the budget is because you're taking money out of a capital reserve fund. That's right. What is that capital reserve fund that it only has $25,000 in it?
So the capital reserve fund is funds that are appropriated through motor vehicle registrations, and then that money is put into capital reserve to fund a portion of the budget.
The portion of the highway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
I'm not sure we addressed the question of like which roads we're intending to do this year. Maybe either Scott or...
Yeah, so the roads that are being addressed this year are New Hebron Road and Russell Street. And I will say with that, if you look at page 64 in your town report, it does outline at the bottom of the page some of the strategic priority roads that are going to be looked at in the upcoming years, part of the capital improvement program, as well as Lakes Region Planning Commission assisted us with putting together a road surface management study. And what that does is it looks at all of the roads in towns and rates them based on how bad they are. And so we have that from a road surface management study, we have it from a sidewalk, and we have culverts. So Joe has started to strategically prioritize the roads that we will continue to add into the capital improvement program as we move forward.
I'm going to interrupt for just 1 second. The poll is closed on Article 10. Okay, go ahead. We want to get that done so we can go on.
And wrap it up, it's unfortunate that in years past that the infrastructure hadn't been addressed more aggressively than what it is today. And I will assure you that under my leadership with the Board of Selectmen, we will continue to look at the infrastructure in this town because we have a lot of things that we have to make ground on. Thank you.
One other note on that, Bob.
Yep.
One thing that the study that Scott mentioned did encourage us is it is much less expensive to repair a road before it's failed than after it's failed. So I make that point so that if you see us working on or doing a resurfacing on a road that you're like, well, that road doesn't seem so bad. There is a reason for that. We're trying to stay ahead, and we've got some roads that we will be working on before they fail, rather than waiting for every road to fail before we actually repair it. Just context.
Any other further discussion? Are you ready for the question on Article 24? All those in favor of Article 24 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. And
I'll make a motion to restrict reconsideration on Articles 20 through 24.
it's been, yes. We can do that separately after the vote has been declared.
No, 8 and 9 are the
tax credit.
I'm sorry, what? Oh, the veteran credits.
Yeah.
We can add 8 and 9,
I'll
yes.
amend my motion.
He'll amend the motion to include 8 and 9, as well as Articles 20 through 24. Second, all those any discussion? Not really. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. Article 25, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $60,000 for the purpose of purchasing a skid steer for the recycling center. The Select Board recommends this article, and the Budget Committee concurs, and the estimated impacts is 12 cents per thousand on the tax rate. Do I have a motion? Is there a second? Moved and seconded.
I don't know if I need to say my name again, Jonathan Van Scooter. Just a point of clarification, is this a second skid steer that will be purchased in addition to the one that was purchased with a $2.5 million bond 2 years ago?
Yes, we're replacing a 2004.
Okay, so you guys have two up there, we replaced one 2 years ago, and you want to replace an 04 that's almost 20 years old?
We have 3 up there.
Oh, you have 3 up there?
Yeah. We have
Shows how much I go to the dump.
We have transfer station, thank
Yeah.
you.
That's right. That's
My
right.
bad.
Call it by its name.
Recycling center.
Recycling center, it's just not a dump.
So you have 3, we've replaced one, we're replacing a 2004. What's the year of the other one, if you don't mind me asking?
2014.
2014, so we won't be needing to replace one, in theory, for hopefully a few more years.
Correct.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 25 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. And I think I have an answer. Do I have a total? Yes. Bring it forward, please. Article 10. 159 yes, 19 no. Article 10 passes. And I so declare it. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $10,000 for the purpose of replacing a computer server at the Pease Public Library. Select Board recommend, the Budget Committee concurs, about 2 cents per thousand on the tax rate. Do I have a motion? Second. Discussion. All those in favor of Article 26 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. I have to tell you that my cousin, Gordy Clay, for years and years and years, every article, he would be in the back and he'd holler, nope! So it's pleasant, it reminds me of him, and I thank you very much. Article 27, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $703,015 for the purpose of funding the following capital projects for fiscal year 23-24. Landfill monitoring, $10,000. Pease Library carpeting, $13,000. Improving road construction projects, $550,015. Crushed gravel, $25,000. Highway building maintenance and repairs, $85,000. Town hall maintenance and repairs, $20,000. The Select Board recommends this. The Budget Committee concurs, and it's about $1.42 per thousand on the tax rate. Do I have a motion? Is there a second? Second. Discussion. Are you ready for the question? Okay, Article 27. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Article 27 passes, and I declare it. Article 28, to see if the town will vote to add to the existing capital reserve fund under the provisions of RSA 35:1 for the following purposes: to raise and appropriate the respective sum totaling $245,000 to be placed in said funds. Conservation Commission Capital Reserve, $5,000. Town Reevaluation, $15,000. Ambulance number 1 replacement, $120,000. Material handling equipment, $105,000. The Select Board recommends, the Budget Committee concurs, and it's about 49 cents per thousand on your tax rate. Do I have a motion? Is there a second? Yeah, it's moved and seconded. Do I have discussion? All those in favor of Article 28 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. Article 29, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $74,040 for the purpose of funding the following nonprofit health agencies. Pemmy Baker Home Health and Hospice, $15,570. Genesis Lakes Region Mental Health Agency, $5,000. Transportation Central, $2,000. Grafton County Senior Citizens, $15,570. Tri-County Community Action, $5,400. Voices Against Violence, $2,000. American Red Cross, $2,000. Pemmy Baker Center, $8,000. Caddy, Communities for Alcohol and Drug-Free Youth, $5,000. CASA, Court-Appointed Child Advocates, $1,000. Pemmy Bridge House, $12,500. The Select Board recommends this article. The Budget Committee concurs, and at about 15 cents on your tax rate. Do I have a motion? Is there a second? Second. Is there discussion? No discussion coming forward. All those in favor of Article 29 will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. So vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. So now comes the time. We have another, 18 minutes? 8 minutes before I can open the ballot box on Article, now I've forgotten which one it is, 11, 12, whatever.
Bob, in the meantime,
Article 11.
I'll make a motion to restrict reconsideration on Articles 25 through 29.
And I have a motion to restrict reconsideration on Articles
25 through 29.
25 through 29. All those, excuse me?
Can we amend that motion to include Article 10, the solar array?
Could you reconsider a vote?
You can't reconsider a vote like that unless it comes back to another meeting. No, that's fine. I'm glad you asked because other people were thinking it. I love people that ask questions because when you ask a question, there are 10 other people that are afraid to step up, so thank you. So, vote to limit reconsideration on those articles. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Vote in the affirmative, and I so declare it. Any other business you would like to address us?
Which sticker won for the I Voted contest?
If I may, Mr. Moderator, I just want to say thank you for attending the meeting tonight and your participation. This is what our hope was for, is that we would fill the room. And I can tell you under my leadership, my office door is always open. My phone line is always open. I will return a call within the same day I receive it. So please, please don't hesitate to call or come visit Town Hall. I want to hear from you all because, as I stated in my interview for the town manager's position, is my network is my net worth. So all of you are part of that network, and all of you have an important voice in this town. And I encourage you to use it and come see us, visit our departments to see what we're doing and understand the complexity of operating a municipal government. So thank you for attending tonight.
So as we wait the 5 minutes before I can open the ballot, is there anything, what? Oh, come on. So many of you don't know, but many years ago when I was teaching in Laconia, we had a time when we were all doing a lip sync, and they had me dress up like Elsa and saying, "Let it go." So I'm not going to do that. But I don't mind having fun with students when I was teaching. Yes?
Is there video of that, Bob?
There is, but I won't share it. If you look hard enough, you might find it.
Kathy Kelsey, and I just have a question, not anything to do with the voting, but about why the highway department is singled out as a warrant article and other departments aren't?
Because there was money coming from the capital reserve for that
that's
account especially.
okay.
Yes, that was the answer.
Okay. And thank you all. I'm so impressed with our whole town, actually.
Yes.
Hi, Phil Lamro. I just wanted to thank all the members of the Select Board and the Budget Committee who worked so hard on the budget. Thank you.
We should extend that thanks to Phil, who headed up the Capital Improvement Planning Committee. So thank you, Phil.
Kathy Bentwood. Kathy Bentwood. You can park that trailer on our property up by the corner of the school.
All right.
Will Bond again. So I think a lot of people are interested to hear maybe some more details about the negotiations with nonprofits and PSU in terms of revenue, right? Because 10% raise in property taxes, yet I hear the PSU hasn't paid even matching inflation increases in the agreement we have with them, and actually it was a win that it didn't go down, which blows my mind that our property taxes would be going up 10% and we're cheering that it didn't go down. Having a better understanding of how this relationships works and what services we're providing and what leverage or knobs we have to turn to improve this, because it seems like nonprofits and the college or the university are kind of creating a big impact on our town budget.
Yeah, context on the why we were glad it didn't go down. 5 years ago, the university paid $730,000. And in that renegotiation, it went down from 730 to 400. And the university informed us that their intent was to take it from 400 to 300 to 200 to 0. And we're trying to hold the line on that, and we would like to push back. We believe that if we can show them clear evidence and clear data on the cost that they incur on this town, that we can push that number back to a number that we feel is reasonable. We don't want to be abusive of that relationship, but we also don't want them to abuse us in that relationship. So it's going to be an interesting year this year as we reopen and try to get a number that we believe is fair.
So the other piece to that, that's the explanation for the university. With regards to the other nonprofit organizations, I will tell you one thing that I've addressed our assessing department to do is in April, all of the nonprofit organizations have to submit their tax information and their income information. And based on that, you can pick and choose to inspect the nonprofit organizations. My direction to Whitney Consulting, our assessing firm that works with the town, is we will inspect each and every nonprofit organization to assure there's not a for-profit piece of that organization that resides in that building. So in due diligence on behalf of the town, we will look at that, we will evaluate it, we will inspect it, and we will continue to try to negotiate with the nonprofits with regards to making payment in lieu of taxes.
I guess a follow-up question I had would be, thank you for that, is I'd also heard that the hospital doesn't have their own security resources and that the town police provide those when necessary. Is that a true statement, or?
The police department does provide emergency 911 response to the hospital with regards to calls for service that they have there. They do have a security agency that they employ. It's an outside agency. As with any outside security agency, there's issues with coverage. But in regards to, they do have their...
I'm going to interrupt again.
Sorry, Bob.
The poll is closed on that article. We're going to do the count. Go ahead. No, you may finish. I just don't want to keep people here, but they don't have to.
So they do have their own security agency. They do have difficulties with it. Myself, Chief Hutchins, and Deputy Chief Buffington have met with the hospital administration with regards to this and offered some suggestions in resolution to it. So the police department continues to work with the hospital with regards to providing the coverage that came from a 911 emergency call, as well as if they have an unruly subject in the hospital that needs police action taken. Thank you.
Yes.
My name is John Dockery, and I have a question for you. I want to start talking about taxing profit corporations. Particularly, I noticed that the Tenny Mountain Highway seems like it's for sale. A lot of vacant lots, a lot of logging being done. I'm getting a little tired of every Saturday morning driving to Tilton. You guys have any news to tell us about anything coming into town or anything happening or?
So I can tell you that we do have some development that's going to be occurring out on Tenny Mountain Highway.
Oh, good.
Mike McGinley, a developer, has started to start discussions with the planning board with regards to what's called Riverside Landing Phase 2. So if you drive into McDonald's and you see that vacant land that's been cleared to the right-hand side, it's proposed for a 102-room hotel, as well as a pad for a restaurant and a Starbucks coffee shop. So that's going to be developed. And then we've had a couple other conversations with Pemmy Valley Habitat for Humanity with regards to a housing complex that may take place out on Tenny Mountain Highway. And when I say Pemmy Valley Habitat for Humanity, when they build those houses are purchased and they are taxable property. And the residents that purchase those homes do pay taxes. From another perspective, we have Tenny Mountain that's coming in front of the planning board this Thursday night with regards to some growth in that area up there. The other thing is we are currently working with Plymouth State University with regards to a cluster project that will help us kick off our economic development and parking issues in the town of Plymouth. So today I got a contact, and my contact is Jess Dutile, who is in the audience tonight, who's the director of the Community Impact program at the university. So we'll be kicking that off with community members representing the town, and then the cluster project from Plymouth State University side will be professors and graduate students that hopefully will help us in develop an economic development plan to bring more business into the town of Plymouth.
Good, because 10% increases every year, not sustainable. And also, the other thing I wanted to ask you was, I love downtown, the Norman Rockwell downtown area. Fabulous. Anybody ever thought about putting a ring road on the back so people can get to the bridge to get to 93 without having to go out through Rands and all that stuff? Is that under consideration, or is something that the police department would like, or the highway department would like?
So
You
I
have
can
any
say
feelings
that
on it?
part of the plan, and Frank Miller, who's in the audience tonight, really has created a nice storyboard with regards to that area down there. And Frank is going to be part of our cluster project committee. So hopefully Frank will be able to present his information to the cluster project committee, and we'll be able to do something with that area down on Green Street.
Good, thank you.
All right, yes, David.
Very quickly, we need volunteers who will participate on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, either as full-time members or as alternate members. We're supposed to have 5 people when someone comes forward with an application, and on occasion, we've had less than 5, and that's not fair to the people who come forward. So if you have an interest in that kind of a task for the town, it doesn't pay anything. You don't have to work too often. We, at best, meet once a month. I really wish you'd talk to the select board and get yourself appointed. Thank you very much.
All right, I have the results from Article 11. 137 yes, 6 no. Article 11 passes. So, I would just like to say one thing before I entertain a motion to adjourn, is that I think that this meeting, more information has come out about things and about the budgets than on many others, because things were so well prepared, the board was so well prepared, and they supplied the information in advance. And I'd just like to thank everybody involved, because it makes my job easier, right? So I would entertain a motion to adjourn. We are adjourning at 9:03. Thank you very much, everyone.